quietly and follow along. At any point, click the pause button to catch up or take a break. Hey artists, in this video on my channel, Art with Miss Dykman, we are going to using shapes to create a form. In this video, the form is a rocket ship. I have a black piece of paper to show that we are in outer space. Maybe your rocket is on a different sheet of paper to show that maybe it's taking off. But no matter what you have, you can decide what the background is. I'm using a white crayon to draw dots for stars on my paper. I really want to fill this up since my rocket is going to be in outer space in this instance. Okay. We are going to be using a variety shapes of sponges today. We're using 2 to create a rocket. Okay. Your shapes for your tools might be a little different, but generally they should create the same form. Okay. Next, I'm going to put a sun in the corner to show that maybe we're going towards or around the sun. This is just the background of your page. You can always add more once your paint dries. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start with the base of my rocket, which is the rectangle, the shaft. I'm going to dip it into our paint and press and tap it in and gently lift up. I want to make sure that my stamp and sponge is completely covered. So I like to dip it a couple more times and rotate it around. Now your hands might get full of paint a little bit because these sponges are a little flexible, but just make sure that you're keeping yourself as neat as you possibly can. Okay, my sponge is completely covered and I have a clear rectangle. I'm going to be placing my sponge in the center of my paper, maybe a little more towards the bottom, and push it up and down. Here we go. To make a correct impression, just gently tap, tap, tap your sponge around the edges and maybe a couple times in the center. Pull away and you should have a rectangle. We are going to be making a second rectangle so that way we can make our rocket taller. I'm re-dipping it and rotating it in the paint. Here we go. To make it easier for you, you can easily rotate your paper to line up your stamp. I like to start with one edge and then press down the other. Tap, tap, tap around the edges, little push, and in the center, pick up and release. Our paint is a little bubbly because these are sponges and some air gets in there. Next, we're going to be using a triangle to create the wings and the top part of our rocket ship. I'm going to get some paint on there and rotate it within the paint on our tray. Let's do maybe a practice stamp to double check. Looking great. Our first triangle is going to be on the left side. If you are right-handed, this is a little easier. I like to line up the edge of my triangle with the edge of my rectangle and give a firm press. Again, make sure all your corners are down and your edges by giving a little tap and release. I have enough paint, I think, on there for a second one. I'm going to give it a try. Going to the other side and repeating the same process, which is lining up the edges of our triangle and gently pressing down all the corners and edges of our triangle, and don't forget the center. There we go, we got another triangle. I'm going to dip my triangle sponge in the paint one last time for the top of our rocket ship. Going straight up and down. This time the bottom edge of your triangle is lining up with the top edge of the rectangle. Press, press, press each corner and edge and gently pull away. There it is. That looks like a really great rocket ship. Okay. If you want, you can use your crayons and other things later to add on, maybe a space window, maybe the jets at the bottom, or other things going on in the universe. Thank you so much for joining me, and have fun adding to your stamp print.